Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and we do have a special guest with us today. I'll get to him in a second, but I want to get to patreon.com/MCUniversityPod, where you can get our bonus content, such as the subscriber mailbag that Jake and I did last week. If you want to find out about zombies, questions about zombies smoking crack or zombies addicted to crack, and our thoughts on those, on that situation, please feel free, subscribe for $3. And
I can't believe that's the question we took really seriously.
I mean, no, we really analyzed it. We really got in there, and you could get that. And of course, we're doing Batman Forever very soon, and all the other stuff that we do behind the wall, plus the Discord. Appreciate everybody for supporting us there. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, let me introduce the super producer, Jake Christie. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing well. Very excited to be having this conversation. Always excited to do the podcast.
1000%. And the guest, as I mentioned at the top, his name is David Dennis Jr., who hosts Viewer Discretion with Mina Kimes, who shout out to Mina for kind of be de facto setting this up, and a senior writer for Andscape, author. He does a whole lot of things with the writing game. David, welcome to the program. How you doing, sir?
Thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here. Any friend of Mina is a friend of mine, so we we're family. So
wonderful. So, with any MCU fan, lately the thing has been, what's wrong with the MCU? Where is everything at? We're getting towards Doomsday, so now people are excited for this trailer coming out next month, and maybe that'll get, stoke the fan base's fires once again. But let me ask you, where are you at with your fandom currently, and where have you been at in the last year or two?
I mean, I'm kind of where a lot of folks are in the term. Well, I guess not. I guess a lot of people are like upset or not feeling. I'm not really there. I mean, things have been fine. Like there's nothing that's been like, I would say, offensively bad. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things that like there are some cinematic universes out there that have offended me with their badness. Like I find myself leaving a lot of MCU movies being like, that was fine. That was fine. Some of the shows I kind of haven't been able to like get into and things like that. And I've been like, it's okay. It's not everything. So I've been kind of like a lot of people just waiting for the big swing, which we're getting. I think the ship will write itself. I have been an MCU fan. I've been a Avengers, all that stuff. I screamed and hollered when Captain America controlled Mjolnir like everybody else. But I'm an X-Men guy. So for me, like, let's get the X-Men thing going. That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm curious, out of genuine curiosity, what cinematic universes have offended you to this point?
I mean, I almost walked out of the theater for Batman vs Superman.
I get it.
Like that. I mean, I have been greatly disappointed. I was greatly disappointed with all that stuff. Like I mean, hey, I'm not hardly on Twitter anymore, but like, so I don't have to worry about these people. But the Zack Snyder stuff was really painful to me to experience.
Hey, if people who listen to the show have a problem, they would have already sent SEAL Team 6 to my house, so you don't need to worry.
Yeah,
I put the target on my back.
Like as somebody who loved Batman growing up.
Same here.
Who has a complicated relationship with Batman now, as I understand like taxes and how they work. But coming up, I loved Batman. I couldn't wait to see Batman movies and things like that. And I thought that there was just like a lot of disappointment there. Even though for the comic book heads out there, Absolute Batman is my favorite thing in pop culture right now.
Really?
It's incredible. I don't know if you're reading it, but it's incredible.
So I started because one of my coworkers said you have to read Absolute Superman because of the way that they're portraying the story. So I got the first I bought the book online and read like the first 12 issues. I'm like, this is pretty good. I haven't gotten into Batman yet, mainly because I keep seeing these photos of gigantic villains and it's throwing me off.
So the Absolute Batman annual, I think, is what just came out.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a full comic book of him destroying the Klan, which is great.
Okay.
What can go wrong with that? But it is so. Absolute Batman is the Absolute Universe is, for those who do not know, it's almost like the Ultimate Universe for Marvel, right? So we're
Right.
taking characters, reimagining them, and it speaks directly to me. Like a few years ago, I wrote this thing about how just don't believe in vigilantes, any like vigilante superheroes. Like we got to find something more imaginative for them. So this speaks directly to me because Superman, as you've read, Superman is like fighting for unions and,
Yes.
and like stuff like. And so Batman is just like a middle class dude who hates the rich and like hates the people who are uh poisoning Gotham from their level of elitism. We have not seen the Joker really, but the Joker seems like it's hinted that he is like a 1%er billionaire
Who
who
legitimately looks like a monster, by the
we
way?
haven't seen it. We've seen like so we have that version of the Joker has not appeared in the comics yet.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
but
I'm
the
excited
previews
though.
of it's but Batman stresses me out. It stresses me out because like the villains, as you mentioned, are uh like intense. They're terrifying. Bane is like the treatment of Bane is the best Bane we have ever seen, and that's saying a lot. It's absolute Batman's my favorite thing in pop culture right now.
Oh man, I'm okay. All right, you sold me. All right, I was a little hesitant because I saw that Joker picture the other day, and I was like, "What are they doing over there?"
Let me turn my
But
lights up real quick. Sorry, I get
no,
to
no
get a little
worries,
brightness out here.
no
Uh,
worries. But yeah, okay, I feel like I got to get locked in on that. So okay, so I want to dive into. We could get back to like the MCU at large, but
yeah,
X-Men 97 I know is your bag. So obviously season 2 will be coming in 2026. What did you think of season 1? Like all of the different ways that they were able to, the fact that they were able to bring this back after so long and it
yeah.
being so effective. What give me your thoughts on season 1?
Season one was incredible. I couldn't believe it was so ambitious. They did so much in season one that I could not believe they got through. Right, we got Genosha massacre. We got um sending Cable into the future. We got so many storylines compacted. We got Madeline Pryor, all that stuff into one season, which is so incredibly ambitious and also so true to the comics. Like as a kid, I was watching the original X-Men. They sort of rejiggered a lot of the origin stories. I mean, it was kind
Yeah.
of like based on there were not too many. I mean, Phoenix, Dark Phoenix, they had Days of Future Past, but in general, they didn't really pull directly from the comics in the way the X-Men 97 did, which was surprising. I could not believe they got through so much there. And I mean, ripping out Wolverine's adamantium,
That was surprising. That was
right?
legitimately shocking.
Right, which is a like really landmark moment in my childhood when that happened. And to see that, I mean, they did so many things I just kind of did not see them doing. And so season two, I can't wait for it.
So, with your X Men fandom generally, so you talk about reading the comics as younger. That's a lot of where my fandom comes from too. So, how did that shape how you've become a fan as an adult? Because that's always interesting when you ask people about that and see like how those things in particular, what characters you got close to and stuff like that. So, what interested you the most about the X Men?
So X-Men really just happened to be. Actually, I have a coaster of it, which this is not like a deep cut because this is everybody's like reference. This is
Nice.
the first X-Men comic we ever got. Just happened to stumble upon it as a kid at the grocery store. My mom would go to the grocery store, and I would just be in the magazine section. I saw X-Men 1, and I was like, "This is really cool." Don't know any of these characters. And then there's the story. There's the story of um, inequality and being othered and all that stuff, which really resonates with Black folks, right? With any marginalized
Yeah.
person. So that was something that was near and dear to me, and it was. I mean, for me, it was X-Men and X-Men only, right? Um, and my X-Men fandom went all the way through the end of Grant Morrison's run, right? So
Okay.
I was pretty much nonstop. Um, what was right before? Yeah, right up and through Grant Moore, and then when he left, I kind of took a little break, and then the X-Men exile happened, like the dark years that we don't speak about with X-Men, when they were trying to make them all Inhumans and all that stuff happened, and then Krakoa, and I was back. I was back like cook crack, and then and now I have regained a complicated relationship with X-Men. But that's really what it was. It formed, like, what people don't understand is that to a lot of us, a lot of the X-Men folks,
Yeah.
Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, it was like fine, but it was X-Men was the real cornerstone of Marvel Comics.
Yeah, I think X-Men, between X-Men and particularly I would say Spider-Man,
Yeah, yeah,
those particular characters are kind of ingrained in the emotional fabric of people growing up.
yeah,
And specifically, like, I remember when the first X-Men, when the animated series ended, like, I felt like a part of me ended too. It was like
yeah,
a
yeah.
very weird, it was a weird empty feeling, as I believe I was like 11 or 12 or something
Mm,
like that when it ended. And yeah, that it felt, yeah, it didn't feel right. So then when the movies came out,
yeah.
that was like a kind of renewed sense of vigor and excitement and stuff like that. So I'll ask you about that. So, like, those original movies, like when X-Men the original one came out in 2000, how did you feel about that, and
So
watching those
that
movies?
that movie, I distinctly remember I was at this camp. I was like at like a nerd camp, right? And they had like your parents. It was like maybe 3 weeks or something, 3 or 4 weeks, and your parents could come on Sundays
Mm.
for like I think 3 hours to see you on Sundays, right? And so my mom, my dad came. They were like fully divorced at the time, but still rode down together to like see me. And I was like, we got 3 hours. We got to go see X-Men, and then like I'll just bring me back. And that's when I saw X-Men, and it was absolutely incredible. Which, like, I think X-Men 1 doesn't totally age the best. I think partially
No.
because there's the leather that, but like you got to understand where we were coming from,
Yeah.
like to get to X-Men. Like we were coming from like none of these movies were good, right? The last real thing we saw was Batman and Robin having a like hockey match with Mr. Freeze, right?
Mhm.
And
Which we'll be
so,
talking about on the Patreon next month, by the way,
right,
for anyone listening.
Yes.
Well, that's next month.
right. Well, I like if you want to talk 10 minutes about Vivica Fox in that movie, we could do that because that's
Question: do you happen to remember off the top of your head what her character's name is in that movie?
no, I don't.
It would be Miss B. Haven. Anyway, continue.
Look, there was a look, Vivica Fox. There was a trifecta of there's like Booty Call and
Yeah.
Batman and Robin
Mhm.
and Independence Day where
Mhm.
Vivica Fox was untouchable, but that's a whole nother
No,
uh
That's an era. That is
that's
an
an era.
era, let me tell you.
But yeah, so X-Men comes out and it's like this is cool. You know, like there were real concerns about what X-Men was going to look like, right? We were I was happy about Patrick Stewart, but there was like who's this dude playing Wolverine? Um, you know, like they got a model who doesn't really act playing Mystique. You know, like you got these weird casting. And the dude from Usual Suspects, like what is like he's doing this thing. Um, and so we get this movie that's incredible, you know, especially at the time. And then we get X2, which to me
Talk
is
about it.
that is the movie, right?
Yeah.
X2 is like the one where they were hitting on all cylinders, where we get the really cool Wolverine scene in the mansion where he's beating up all these dudes. And that is like the cornerstone to me of like like X-Men in movies. Like everything since then it's been kind of downhill since then, uneven since then. But X2, I think,
Oh
was
yeah.
really where the money was.
I mean, I think about the Wolverine Deathstrike scene.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that was so much fun.
I mean, I always talk about it, but the opening scene with Nightcrawler, I think, is
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
David, the conceit of the pod initially was that AC grew up with comic books and what have you, and I didn't at all. But I found these as movies, and to me, so I think a lot about like in terms of someone who didn't like. I remember I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is why superhero movies are a huge deal. Because
Mhm.
like it's one of the first scenes where you're like, where a superpower is fully visual realized, and you don't need to purposely suspend your disbelief and be like, "This
Yeah.
is fake." It's like, oh no,
Right.
no, this just feels like what it would be like if Nightcrawler was bamfing around the White House.
Yeah, and also at the time, everybody was doing like Matrix knockoffs, right? So it was all like, you know, we want to look like Matrix. We're doing the still thing, right? We're doing all that, And this was just like, no, Nightcrawler's cool. Let's just do let's show you how cool Nightcrawler is.
Yeah. I'm just I think like when you think about X-Men generally, like that run, and then like Last Stand was what it was. There were, a lot of people felt
No, I mean,
so
Last Stand is awful. It's, I mean, let's be
Yeah.
real. Let's
yeah,
not.
and then you got the Wolverine movies, which
Yeah.
it depends on who you talk to. Those didn't really hit. And then how'd you feel about Logan?
So I like Logan. I like Logan. We could have done without him, just opening a movie, killing a bunch of brown folks and all that stuff. Like that was not the best. Uh, and but otherwise, I mean, I thought the old man Logan thing was really good.
Yeah.
Here's my one big gripe about this movie
Hmm.
is why, besides the again murdering of like Hispanic folks in Texas, but my big gripe is why not have Sabretooth instead of a Wolverine clone. I don't get why we did the Wolverine versus the young Wolverine instead of just having some sort of version of Sabretooth. I
I
never quite understood that.
I think what I would imagine is that probably someone at Fox is like, Sabretooth still has the X-Men Origins Wolverine stink on him. You're not going to use him. That would be my guess. Now obviously I don't know for sure, but that feels like a type of studio note where it's like, no, you're allowed to do another Wolverine movie, but you're not. We can't go back to that. Now, do I think
Yeah.
that's stupid? Of course I do, but movie studios are stupid and they do stuff like that all the time. That would be my guess.
I think not really getting a proper Wolverine Sabretooth
Yeah.
clash in live action, even though they kind of teased us with it in Deadpool and Wolverine, only for that to last like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
That was kind of crazy too.
Yeah, I think we're due for one, right? Like let's run it back. Let's run the fade back because they didn't. I mean, X1 they didn't really. It was just kind of like
Yeah, it wasn't.
Well, the thing is, as someone who, in preparation for Deadpool and Wolverine, I watched X-Men Origins Wolverine for the first time, so like less than like 2 years ago. It is on screen. It's just awful. I think that's part of it. Where like they did actually. And
They're
so I think that
jungle
obviously
catting,
from
both of them are.
our memories as an audience, we don't remember it. But from the
Mhm.
studio that made it, it's like, no, we actually did. They're like, we did do a full movie. That's a Wolverine Sabretooth movie. So I think now they can do it. But I definitely can understand why when they're like in 2017 being like, no, we're not going to do that again. We just did that. And that's why I'm excited for the clean slate because they've
Yeah.
thrown so much shit at the wall with the X-Men so far, and they've done so many reboots. But like now, it's like whatever. We can do everything again, except don't do the Dark Phoenix again immediately. Please just wait.
Yeah. What's your level? What would you say? Actually, you know what? I want to ask this question first because I think this one is interesting. Now that how do you feel about them bringing these characters into Doomsday? Because it seems like a lot of them are going to be involved in this, and they're going to do like an Avengers versus X-Men thing. How do you feel about that conceit as a story?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, I like again, I'm impatient to the idea of like let's get the reboot going.
Mhm.
Like let's get the new guys, let's get the new story, let's get this whole thing going, and go from there. And I'm interested how I don't know how they're gonna pull this thing off because there's so many characters. Like they're reintroducing characters that we've known for all these years, and then we're gonna like wipe it clean.
Well, they're all gonna die. Let's all be honest.
Yeah, they're all gonna die.
Let's
Yes.
be real. Like we don't have to kayfabe this.
They're
We
all
know what's
gonna
gonna happen.
die. Yeah. They're all gonna die, but at the same time, like they keep bringing them back. Like they
I
died
know.
like 2 or 3 times already,
Yeah.
So I mean, how many times has Cyclops died? Cyclops died, in the first 5 minutes of the third one. So
Yeah.
there's still like this attachment to him, and I'm just kind of like, I want to see the MCU finally get a crack at an X-Men story.
How do you feel about, because they obviously finally named a director, which is why I'm fairly confident that they're going to get onto it right after Secret Wars. How do you feel about Jake Schreier helming the new X-Men?
I think it was fine. I liked that's a Thunderbolts guy, right?
Yeah.
So I like
Yes.
Thunderbolts. I thought Thunderbolts had a good team dynamic to it. My question is
Mhm.
how are they how much are we leaning into the actual story of the X-Men, right? Because we're in the time that we're in right now, and
Mhm.
there's questions about wokeness and all this stuff, but
Yeah.
it's X-Men, y'all. Like, I don't want a watered down version of X-Men. X-Men is about bigotry and about people who are overcoming bigotry, and I want it all.
I think it's extremely important that they don't water it down. They have to find a way to tell a story on that level, because I think if you don't do it, it kind of defeats the purpose of bringing them in. It's going to feel hollow. It
Right.
just is.
My guess is I think if they were going into pre-production on the movie now, I would be worried about it. But I think that the way that things are going, I don't think that there's going to be as much cultural perspective to it. Like if they're going into pre-production on it in like 2027, I've long been positing that that Woke 2 is coming, and I think by then we might be because like you can Woke 2. It's I've said it. I've said I'm an early investor in Woke 2.0, and people are like, oh, you're but like I'm gonna be the guy with Apple stock. So but I think that I do really think that we're gonna come to a moment where like I'm much more bullish on that not being an issue because like I don't know it feels like already the whole anti woke stuff is running out of steam again. So I don't know. I also think the thing too is that the way that movie companies work is that like these companies just don't actually care that much about what's going on in the day-to-day stuff on set. Like the amount of like super woke movies that super unwoke companies have made. Like I'm just much more
I mean,
love
Superman was
That
exactly.
was, hey
That's what I
man.
mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just like deeply like apparently I mean I haven't seen it yet, but I'm reading reviews for the new Running Man movie, which is obviously on Paramount, which is an awful company, yada yada. And like apparently it's like, yeah, it's a movie about how like corporations suck people dry for entertainment. I'm like, yeah, people just these studios just don't care that much.
Apparently, the Toy Story movie, like one of the teasers dropped, and like the villain is an iPad of some sort.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah. I think Greta Lee's voicing it's a
yeah,
lily pad of some sort.
right,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's interesting. Like the way that a lot of this stuff is going generally. That's why, I think of something like Black Panther 3 whenever that comes out. What is
yeah,
that going to look like? That's a different conversation. There's always these I feel like tricky spots that these studios either find themselves in or don't like go all the way.
yeah,
Because I mean, just for example, when we talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier
mm,
and Captain America: Brave New World, it just felt like the message that they were trying to go for just was so cookie cutter
yeah,
that it never landed in the way that I think they might have thought it would land, and it
mm.
kind of shows their lack of depth when it comes to trying to tell these particular stories. I don't know how you felt about the Sam Wilson going into Captain America type thing, if you want to give some thoughts about that.
Yeah. I mean that's I mean they're like I mean this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what we're gonna get. Like you still we are still there's still movies and you still got to sell Happy Meals at the end of the day. You know,
Yeah.
like there's that. You're still going to put Sam Wilson on the face of a Happy Meal. And um, I think if you go into movies with that sort of understanding, that's kind of what it's going to be. And I think, um, I don't particularly go into when I go into these movies and I see something like Superman, I'm like, wow, this is a really surprising thing that I'm pleasantly surprised by. And generally, I'm not. That's not never an expectation though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing too, I always say, whenever people are like really concerned about that, and I try not to be judgmental with this, but it's just like you need to have a more varied movie diet. Like there are lots of movies that are making good points about race
Yeah.
and sexuality and things like that. Like they exist. Like if you have a wide, like I don't need Captain America to be a treatise on race relations in America because like I
Hmm.
have a very media diet. Like you know what I mean? Like it's not. I don't need it to be that. Although the speech at the end of when it what was it? What was Howard's joke here? What did he compare it to again?
No, that was Stephanie calling it the Pepsi speech.
No, it wasn't the pep speech. He said something that was like he compared it to an Obama speech, which I thought was very funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Howard had
Bryan.
had a lot of things to say
Yeah.
about Sam
But
Wilson.
but also like, I mean, he's Captain America,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And because there was this whole thing about I remember there was a discussion about like who was Luke Cage and all this stuff. But like to be a superhero, I think that's what makes kind of the original, the Steve Rogers thing kind of. And I think that's what they were trying to do with Superman. Where they were like being kind is punk rock, like you know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
there's this like there is a certain politic I think that you have to be a superhero. And I think in an application of the real world, most of us will probably look at superheroes and be like, kind of lame. you know,
A little corny,
like
a little
yeah,
corny-ish. Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
I mean, and that's I think why AC and I are both famously. This is the Cornball podcast. We're small C Cornballs over here.
Very true.
And that's why we both love Superman, because it was like, oh right,
Oh man,
let's
it's
take it.
so
Let's
great.
because I think the thing that Superman and what they're trying to do with Steve Rogers do so well is it's like, no, let's take seriously what it would require for someone to want to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. Like let's
yeah,
actually like let's not be ironic about it. It's like, what type of person would have to do that, and let's make a movie about that. And of course, I think that what Superman gets really right is that the world would be like, it's like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Why is he trying to do stuff for the greater good?
yeah, right, yeah. Like I think, I could see myself, you know, tweeting out like this Riddler dude, he ain't really doing nothing that bad. Why you got to throw him in Arkham? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's so funny. Like the Superman thing. I just think it did such a great job of not only looking at positivity but also looking at our cynicism
yeah,
as a populace. So I just like really enjoyed the story that James Gunn went for, and he like went all the way in positivity as opposed to some of the the Snyder stuff where
yeah,
we got
yeah.
Superman killing Zod.
Right. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, and that's like I think why going back to X-Men, why one of the reasons I just like X-Men is they're not
Hmm.
out there being like, for the most part, they're not just being like, we're gonna go fight crime. You know, there's like we just want to we just want to have a school and teach kids who are like us, and we really just kind of want to be left alone, right? Like Krakoa was like, leave us alone. We will do anything to be left alone. We will give you these medications. We'll give you whatever we can. We'll fix your economy. Leave us alone. And it's really the pursuit of like marginalized folks who want to be left the hell alone. And for me, that's relatable. Like that's
Yeah.
extremely
Very.
relatable. Um, and that's why I think one of the reasons I gravitate towards X-Men more so than somebody who's like, let me go out and like beat up somebody who's like trying to break into a corner store because their SNAP benefits ran out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just kind of X-Men. That's why X-Men sort of has been more towards my leaning than somebody who dresses up and beats up poor people.
Yeah, and I think with this new reboot, if you tell that particular story, I think it could be extremely effective.
Yeah,
And then and gain a lot of sympathy for your characters, which I think, it seems like the MCU wants to put the X-Men at the forefront of the next saga, which is
yeah,
great. And it is time for them to come back and be a legitimate and important part of what this storytelling is. Because I think once you do that, then it allows everything else to kind of whatever they try to do. Because I'll tell you this, like just from the standpoint of the Iron Man, the Captain America stuff, I feel like we've gotten a good deal of all of that.
yeah,
I think it's time to switch. Bringing in the Fantastic Four, I think was really good. I love those characters that showed out in July, and bringing back the X-Men. I think it's a great opportunity for them to refresh something that for a lot of people has felt stale over the last couple of years.
yeah. I agree. I mean, they just add a whole nother wrinkle to things because like you got to think like Iron Man came out in 2008. So there's a whole generation of people
Yeah.
who think of X-Men as secondary and who are
Yeah.
going to learn about these characters for the very first time. And um, I'm excited to do. Like, there's one thing that I could wish I could do is just to discover X-Men again. For the first time and like go back to when I talk about that. Um, one thing I wish I could do is go back and see the first episode of Watchmen for the first time again. Like because it just
Oh
blew my
man,
mind, and I
what a
wish I could
series!
like go back and be introduced to X-Men for the first time.
What a series! Watchmen was tremendous. Was tremendous. Just out of curiosity, generally, like what other comic book media interests you? Like, how do you feel about stuff like The Boys or stuff like that in general? Is there anything like, or even something like Peacemaker that just came out that a lot of people like? Any thoughts on those things? Different types of comic book media.
So I kind of fade in and out depending on what it is. Like The Boys, I think I've watched them all. I don't know. I can't even remember if I watched it last season, but it's fun. Like the problem with The Boys is not really. The Boys is one of the rare instances to me where a show is better than the comic book. Like, cause I tried to read the comic book and just was like,
It's rough.
it's a tough
It's
read. Yeah.
very rough. Yeah, I
It's a
agree.
tough read because that's what Garth Ennis, right? I think who
Yeah.
does that, and he always sort of pushes that envelope anyway. Um,
pushes it past the point.
Past,
in my
right, yeah.
opinion.
From what I understand, the thing is the TV show is woker than the comic in a good way.
Yeah, it is, and I think so. So the boys, like I've watched. I honestly can't remember watched the last season, but I watched enough of it. I think what probably was no fault from the show. It's just kind of like when folks are watching, they don't know who the good guys are or not. It's kind of like we're missing the plot here. That was kind of people are like, I want to be like Homelander, and it's like that's not really what you should be doing.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So that is kind of so I'm up and down. So there's not like Peacemaker. I haven't watched Peacemaker. I watched the first season. Would like to, I need to catch this one at some point.
I think you'd enjoy it.
The second season's it's really, really good. I mean, James Gunn he's good at what he does. Is like, I think what we've decided is that like James Gunn is probably the best for a body of work, the best adapter of superhero comic books in ever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he his body of work is just unlike anyone else's.
Yeah, he's cooking on a very high level.
Yeah, because I think he tries to understand them and figure out what makes these characters tick, and to make Guardians of the Galaxy like a household franchise is a feat of its own.
Yeah. And the thing that he does, which I think was something that the original X-Men movie got right, even if Bryan Singer did not care at all about the comics or being a good person or showing up on set on time. But the thing that he got is that, like, it's actually much more important if you get the spirit of the characters right than if you get the details right. Yes. Like, the Guardians of the Galaxy in the movie is not actually a lineup that ever existed in the comics. But the spirit of the comics is in the movies. And I think that that's, like, something that's so... It's something that annoys me so much about discourse about comic book movies and TV shows, where it's like, I don't care if this character has the right suit or whatever. It's like, does it feel like what the story is trying to say? And that's the thing that when it works, it works. And when people, so many times these movies fall flat, it's like, but didn't you notice that I referenced issue 105? It's like, no.
I mean, I think that's what makes Deadpool so good, right? Is that there is a character there, and they know exactly who this character is, and he's going to be that character the whole time.
Yes. Yeah, there's no like reverence for like, I think it's refreshing in the sense that it's not, the whole Easter egg thing, which, by the way, I'm a big Easter egg guy. Like, if you give me that stuff, I will eat it up and all that stuff. But every now and then I think it's good to have those offshoot characters like Deadpool who kind of show a different side to the whole medium, for sure. Yeah. So okay, so all right, so getting back to the MCU, what's your favorite MCU film out of all of them so far?
Winter Soldier, probably.
That's a lot of people.
I mean, that's everybody's favorite. I mean, that's just like, that just has, again, we get into the spirit of a character, the spirit of to me, it's Winter Soldier. I would probably say the original Black Panther's up there.
Yeah. Black Panther.
Infinity War, I think, is really great.
That's my number one.
Yeah, Infinity War is incredible. But I think in terms of, it's definitely Mount Rushmore, obviously, for that. But for me, it's Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier's a great movie. It's one of the most rewatchable ones, by far. It's not even close. I think you could just turn it on at any time, and you could just be like, all right, I love the story, I love the action, like. The choreography is just top notch.
Had to reach into the Blu-ray shelf.
I
have a Blu-ray shelf, and whenever one gets referenced, I got to pull it out for the video.
Winter Soldier is absolutely, if we all still had cable and were flipping channels.
Yep, if that
it would be it would be the number one. It's on USA right now.
When I'm visiting my folks,
doesn't matter. This is my next 45 minutes.
It's always on TNT, and when I'm visiting my family, it always goes on.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so we got best. What's the worst MCU film in your opinion that you've seen?
Oh man, what's the worst? I don't know. I don't think.
Or the one that you enjoyed the least.
Man, Eternals was kind of a rough watch.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a MCU movie where I left the theater being like, I hated this movie.
What about The Incredible Hulk? Do you remember watching that?
Oh, the first Hulk. The first one
not the Eric Bana one. No, the one with Edward Norton.
I like that one.
Okay.
I like that. You know what? I like that. I like that one because you got to remember. Also, at the time, it had. They were mentioning the super soldier serum.
You're right.
That you know what I'm saying. It was like whoa. It was like oh okay. This is the thing. Like this is starting to happen, right? So I was into that. The first Hulk that's pre MCU, right? But that one was that one. I was deeply offended that would exist.
That was a time.
But I can't think of one that I have walked out of. I mean, the Captain Marvel, the second one was a rough watch. I think when they had the thing with the cat.
Oh, you talking about the you talking about the flirt? You talking about the flirkin? You talking about the flirkin?
I'm famously on the record pro that. I understand that's not.
Fooling with the flirkin.
I understand that is not the unanimous opinion. There has been some discussions about that, but yeah.
I mean, the Marvels. I think the Marvels to me was a good time. I think unfortunately that got caught up in a lot of bad PR.
Well, yeah. I mean, I will definitely say it's not as bad as the. The back because there was a myriad of reasons why they wanted that movie to fail and to be bad, but like I said, I can't think of like off the top of my head.
Quantumania, how'd you feel about that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that was probably a rough one, and Quantumania actually feels like it doesn't exist. Because
that's a great point
for obvious reasons. Like it's not even one that it feels. Quantumania feels like it's not even canon anymore.
It's a great point.
Because that's not at the bottom of my rankings, but that's definitely the one when you're talking about leaving the theater. That is definitely the worst I felt leaving the theater because I'm like, we spent so much time on this podcast previewing how big of a movie this was going to be.
Yeah,
and like, what?
Yeah,
like I'm like
Yeah, it felt. Yeah, it actually doesn't. It actually feels like it's not canon. It just feels like a movie that just was there. It was like in the comic books, like a Elseworlds or a one shot or something like that. It was like that was great, but nobody's going to talk about this.
At the time, it was really annoying that Kang lost to those ants, but now I'm so freaking glad that he lost to those ants.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
In retrospect, it was the best thing done for all parties involved. At least there. So, I mean, speaking of villain changes, how do you feel about Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom?
We'll see. TBD. TBD. Like there's so much about these movies because the difference is, as you know, like Infinity War, we had Thanos for like 10 years before Infinity War, right?
Yeah,
and
a decent amount.
This is a story that they're telling pretty much from scratch at the beginning of a movie, which we had not seen before. So we don't even know what this dude sounds like with the Latvian accent. I'm assuming he's going to have a Latvian accent.
I'm very intrigued of what that's going to be.
Yeah, so
he's going to try something.
Yeah, we got that, and from the people on set are saying it was incredible. All that stuff, I have no clue what we got going on.
It's very the intrigue for this teaser amongst MCU fans has now reached a point where it's like, all right, everybody's gonna be like the haters are gonna back off. Everybody gonna back off after this.
Although I will say a thing that I have pointed out on the podcast a lot, which I think if you go back and actually look at it, I think you will. If you go back and actually look at, because you can look it up on the internet. The amount of actual screen time that Thanos had before Infinity War was like 5 minutes total.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that they seeded him really well. But I actually am I'm worried about Doomsday for lots of reasons, but I'm not that worried about them bringing him in just because it's like, I don't know. Exposition is not that hard if you're determined to do it. That's but my take always, when they announced it was going to be Robert Downey Jr., I remember my take was, because I, went to art school, so I know a lot of actors. And what I said is every actor wants to do they're the clumps. That's what every actor wants to do, clumps. And so that's why I'm a little worried that he's going to take a huge swing because he wants to be very different.
Yeah.
Because the more people keep hyping up his performance, I'm like, is it one of those situations where actors love it because he's doing a lot of business? I'm a little worried.
Imagine Robert Downey Jr. getting a Best Supporting Actor nomination for playing Dr. Doom.
I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest thing. He got a Best Supporting Actor nomination for playing a black guy. Shout
out to Tropic Thunder.
It would be he could possibly have the most bizarre series of Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
You got Tropic Thunder. You have Oppenheimer.
And he was nominated for playing Charlie Chaplin in the 90s. So just a real murderer's row of yep, that's a career in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So So I was always curious because in listening to some of the stuff that you do with Mina in terms of your TV show palette, y'all got Love Is Blind, Married at First Sight, y'all do that stuff, but you did Alien, you did Task. I'm curious, is there anything that's catching your eye right now in terms of TV that has intrigued you as of late? Because there's a couple of new shows that people are
Yeah,
excited
I want
about.
to see the new Vince Gill, the new show. I have not
Yeah,
seen it
AC's
yet.
been talking about it.
Yeah,
Buddy.
I've heard it's really good. It's sci-fi. It's all this stuff. So I don't know much about it. I really want to watch it. I got a flight tomorrow, so that's probably gonna be my in-flight watch tomorrow. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited for checking that one out. Um, I just saw the Aliens getting a season 2, which
Yes.
may come in like 5 or 6 years because that's what these
TV's fucking
TV shows do.
TV.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
so
just gave Noah Hawley the keys.
yeah,
They gave
yeah.
him a whole developmental deal and all that. So apparently he's gonna be doing some work over there for a minute.
Yeah, so really that's the show that's on my radar next. I did finish Task and it kind of fell off a cliff very quickly.
Also, you didn't like the end. You didn't like the end.
No, it didn't. It did the like second half, like probably the second half of the season. It reminded me of True Detective season 1, where it was just kind of like, all right, I'm
Hmm.
in this thing, and then they just don't stick the landing.
It's
In the way
very
that they
hard to
should.
stick the landing in these shows, isn't it?
Yeah, especially a show. I mean,
Mhm.
once you start to feel like, all right, they got a lot going on, there's a lot of
Mhm.
characters, a lot they're juggling, uh, and then they just kind of wrote themselves into a corner. And they was like, we'll just
Mhm.
like just start killing people.
You know, if I didn't know any better, I would say that television as a medium was designed to have stories that kept going on and was not as great as a plot delivery device as movies are. But whatever, that's not my hobby horse I talk about every time we do this podcast.
I could tell you this, David. As far as the Vince Gilligan show Pluribus, I am stunned that this man continues to make
Mhm.
epic TV as he's made with these first 2 episodes. I was watching the first episode like jaw on the floor
Yeah.
in the ingenuity of the type of storytelling that he was doing with this, and I was like, yo, okay, this guy's cooking with some real fish grease right now. So
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah. I'm ready to watch. I'm very excited to take a look at it. So.
yeah, so that's one that interests me. I haven't watched because a lot of people are talking about the
Yeah,
Welcome to
yeah.
Derry.
I've never I didn't watch any of the It reboots or anything like that. So that's like
Okay.
a different
Yeah.
world for me that I gotta tap into.
All right, so what are you watching? But the love. Okay, as somebody who doesn't watch Love Is Blind, who
Okay.
maybe has perused it like one time and has seen a couple of things and has just said some of this stuff is a little risque for me. What got you into it? What interests you the most about those shows?
So what got me into it is interesting is that like so I write all day. You know, I'm sitting in the in my office. I'm writing, and I need to write with the TV on, right?
Hmm.
And so what I need is something that is on that does not require my full attention, right? And so I found that reality TV just hits that perfect middle ground where I'm like, I can write 10 minutes writing my thing, and then like I can look up and I don't need like I tried to watch um Shogun while I was working, and that you can't watch Shogun while you're working.
Now
You know what I'm saying?
you gotta
Like,
lock in. You
you
gotta
gotta
lock in
lock
and
in.
watch that.
You gotta lock in on doing that. You can't watch like Boardwalk Empire while you're working. Like there are some shows I've started where I'm just like, I can't do this while I'm working. So I had to like find that sweet spot, and for me it was reality TV. And so I was watching the challenge stuff first. I think
Hmm.
that was really what started it. I think like around pandemic time, I was watching the real, Road Rules, Real World Challenges. That was eating up time. Married at First Sight was eating up a lot of time, and then it was Love Is Blind, and so it just became during the day when I want to watch something and I'm working and I want to like be distracted, but like kind of be able to lock in on my work. It's reality TV, and that just kind of took over on its own. Now, think about Love Is Blind
Hmm.
is it is a jumping off point for so many actually intriguing conversations, right? Like intriguing conversations about like love and relationships and politics and race and all this stuff. That even though like the device itself is kind of silly, sometimes you can really actually have substantive conversations based on what you're watching.
Okay. All right. Well, it's one of those things like I've seen. It's not love. What is it? What is that one called? It's not. I've seen the Married at First Sight like
Uh,
one time, and I think that's just such a crazy premise. 'Cause
yeah,
putting
yeah.
them two people together
But
I
is
it
the
remember
makes you think a lot about marriage and what the content, like the institution of marriage and
yeah.
couples and what makes things work and relationships. It's a fascinating show.
I always think about how when I was in college, I interned at a unscripted reality TV company, and basically it was shortly after Married at First Sight first started, and they basically said like it killed the industry for a little bit because it's like no one could think of a way to go more extreme. We don't know how to one up Married at First Sight.
Yeah. It's a. I have always wondered because I do think the one thing that it does make you think about, to your point, is wow, like you've been together with this person for this long, and in a lot of ways, you still there are things that you're always learning about them.
Yeah,
And then you have these people that just meet, and this is it. This
yeah,
is it. There's so many things that go into that I think people don't get, which does make it's a wild premise, but it's an interesting one if you want to examine it further. And I'm guessing in your writing and doing writing and stuff like that, it is a very interesting premise to think about because it's a very conversational type of topic.
yeah, absolutely. And also, like, let's be clear, some of these things just trash TV that just pass the time. Like Temptation Island, there is nothing.
Shout out to
Uh,
Temptation Island.
there's absolutely nothing of substance that I'm going to gain from a show like that. Like, there's never I will never walk out of Temptation Island and like be like, I have a treatise on like love and like the world now. I don't, but yeah, oftentimes it give you something to think about.
Got you. And what would you say is your what would you say is on your TV Mount Rushmore?
Oh, TV Mount Rushmore, um, The Wire, of course.
Easy
Breaking
one.
Bad,
Yeah.
of course. Those are two locks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would say The Americans is probably on my Mount
That's
Rushmore.
a great show.
Yeah.
Great call.
Right, which is an incredible show that not enough people watch and
Yep.
like not enough people talk about, and that's frustrating because I need a community of people to just go back and watch The
I
Americans.
love that show. Yeah.
I think Succession is probably there also.
Like in the modern era, sure. Like in this like current
Yeah,
like in the last 5 years, I'd say it's like right up there.
yeah, but also I know it's one season, but Watchmen is just my favorite thing
Oh, it's
ever.
great. Yeah.
So there's that too. So
Yeah, I always think of like the thing that although you mentioned The Wire, you mentioned Breaking Bad, to me like Sopranos is kind of always like in there,
yeah,
always on that like in there for me. And then there's a couple. I don't know if you've ever seen The Shield.
I've not seen. No, I never saw The Shield. No, no.
That show brought. I mean, it made FX what it
Right, right.
was.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
you watched
yeah.
The Sopranos when it was out, when it was coming out, right?
No,
Or did you go back?
I would say like a little after it ended. That's when I started watching it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's my Sopranos take is that I think that some shows are perfect for when they came out, right?
Hmm.
Like Sopranos, I think was cutting edge because of the way that it like handled so many things like therapy and the internet, like they're trying to keep up with their kids and the internet and what they're
Right.
doing and all that stuff. And I watched it during the pandemic. That was one of my pandemic watches, and it took me a while to kind of like get into it because it did not that like sort of this show is groundbreaking wasn't there anymore, right? It's sort of like I have the same feeling musically when I think about like Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, stuff like that. Like they sound perfectly like 1992
Yeah.
music to the point where like if you go back and revisit it, it may not hit the same because it's not there's like and there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's just perfect for when it came out, right? I think Sopranos was perfect when it came out. I think it's hard. I think it was hard for me to sort of revisit like years later.
The other one for me, very strongly, and I'm happy that they had come out with like a little bit of a continuation. I believe it was last year. Was Justified. Just
Okay, I tried to get into Justified. Could Justified. I tried to get it Justified. I actually bought a couple of the seasons when it
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the characters were incredible. Some of the stories is kind. I just really didn't hold my attention the way I thought it would.
Interesting. Yeah, that one I really liked. But I feel like The Shield is one that it is definitely dated now.
Yeah,
But in terms of in your face, I can't believe this is happening type stuff, and the type of characters that they put on the screen, and the way that they told that story in just such a very harsh and
yeah,
like real in your face type of way. Like that's one of those like I'll never forget seeing that show and kind of like how it kind of tilted the view of how you viewed television and the cable, like the way that it
yeah.
brought cable into that kind of modern, like without the Shield, you don't get a Justified, you
Right,
don't
right,
get the
right. Yeah,
Americans, you don't get Snowfall, like
yeah,
like
yeah.
stuff like that. Like that's where the Shield like hits home for me in a different type of way. Like Vic Mackey is an all time TV character for sure. Yeah,
My
yeah.
question with the Americans, the spinoff I want to see is,
What's up?
I want to see Martha's years in the USSR. You know,
Oh
that they sent
wow.
her over there and she's just alone. That's just like the thing I love about the Americans is that like they could just gesture at that and you're like, they only just need to show one scene. You're like, this woman, what's the fuck is her life? What? The fact they did that with like so many
I
different
don't think
characters.
there's been a more wronged character.
Oh my god.
And-
Truly one of the most. She was seduced by a guy who then married her illegally because he was already legally married.
yeah,
Then was like, I actually am a Russian spy, and you need to move to Soviet Russia for me. And I'm
yeah.
not going. I'm not going to meet you there. I'm gonna be here with Kerry Russell still. Thank you very much.
That's
Just
was insane.
really.
I've always joked that if they did like another season of The Americans, it would just be the two main characters just watching news, being like, "We did it, good job,"
Yeah.
and that would be it. It's like a 45-second season where they're just like, "Great job, everybody,
Yeah.
we did it."
Oh man, that was such a great show, and so I mean, truly like
The
the amount of
costumes, like
I
yeah,
mean,
Oh
all
yeah,
of that.
the thing that Pastor Solomon Missouri always jokes about because he's just a huge fan of that show is like it really was just a show of like why if a man or a woman comes onto you and acts like you're really hot and wants to have sex with you immediately, they're a spy and they're gonna kill you or
Yeah.
steal from you. That's the message of the show. It's like if Kerry Russell comes up to you and is really into you, you're gonna get either murdered or stolen from.
yeah.
Shout out to the
The
Americans, man.
the season finale of season one is one of the great
Yeah.
finales of all time. So.
Yeah. Oh man, that show is definitely up there. No, I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of people don't talk
Even
about
though
that
people
show.
forget about it. I mean, I think I think a lot of shows on FX, honestly,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of shows on non-premium cable have been forgotten because people are like, "Oh, it's all HBO." It's like, no. Like, some good work was being done on cable television, regular cable.
yeah.
Yes, 1,000%. So, all right. So before we go, David, I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you this, just for some quick comparisons. What kind of with the MCU kind of in its struggling phase, what dynasty in the NBA would you compare the MCU to in
Oh,
in your opinion? Because I have a comparison, but I want to hear yours first.
I would say that's a good question. I would say, um, what dynasty? Maybe like, I mean, kind of the Spurs, but like, because the Spurs would, kind of go away for a little bit, and you're like, okay, they're done, and then they come back and they win a championship, they sneak into a championship. But the Spurs don't ever have, they never had like their end game or their like peak
No.
moment where it was just
Mhm.
like this is they've blown the doors off of
Mhm.
everybody. um Maybe the Warriors, right?
That was the
Like,
Listen,
one.
if
That was
Doomsday
mine.
is good, then it's the
That was
Warriors.
that was
right,
mine.
right. If Doomsday comes back, it's like, okay, they snuck another championship
Yeah.
from under our noses.
Because
I
they're
mean,
currently in the rebuilding phase,
right, they
kind
got
of.
the rebuilding
Two
phase.
timelines.
Robert Downey Jr. is their Steph Curry. Like,
Uh-huh.
he's got it. They need him at all times to do all the
Right.
things. And then we'll see if who will be the young stars.
Well, did Sam Wilson end up being James Wiseman? I don't know. Shout out to the wise man.
Yes, shouts to the wise man.
Oh man, just out of curiosity, because I know I know like you're into the Warriors basketball. How do you feel about this team this season? They've they started off hot, but then like the oldness and the injuries started happening.
As we're speaking, they're down 110-79 to OKC. So
great,
good Lord.
so that's not great. Started off good. They had some old people losses to some bad teams. That was really sort of disappointing. Then Steph got a random like illness that kind of took him out for a couple games. But I mean, they got enough to right the ship there. I don't want to, the Al Horford thing is really alarming. I don't know, man. I think that they are a playoff team for sure.
Yeah.
But the Olden State Warriors are kind of concerning me.
Olden State
I mean,
Warriors.
AC, you got to relate to you got to be feeling nothing but love.
I mean, that is the hashtag washed agenda team. They are right there in terms of everything. Jimmy Butler, let me tell you, there is nothing that annoys me more than when Jimmy Butler goes to the rim and then yells and then draws a foul call. It just irritates me, but I also get it because at this point, that's what he has to do to draw a foul call. Yeah. So I totally understand. And with that, David, I want to thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate you coming through.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It's been great.
Yeah, nothing but love. Where can we find you and your work?
You can find my writing on Andscape. You can find me on different shows, NBA Today, Sports Center here and there. And then, of course, Viewer Discretion with Mina Kimes. We're talking Married at First Sight, season finales and all that stuff. So, yeah, tap in.
Wonderful stuff. And of course, Jake, where can we find you, my friend?
You can find me on Twitter at the Jay Christie. Find the TikTok show as always, Museum of Twitter at the Jay Christie on TikTok, and I'm on Blue Sky at Jay Christie. David, if there's ever a famous tweet you want to talk about, let me know. I do a show that is inexplicably popular on TikTok where I talk about one tweet every day. So
gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah. There's actually an X-Men tweet that I might run by you.
Okay,
that you reminded me of that I want an expert for. But anyway, we'll talk later.
Yes, gotcha. Sounds like a wonderful plan.
My best X-Men tweet was revisiting the first episode of X-Men where Professor X sent Morph to fight the Sentinels and left Jean Grey and the Mansion, and I compared him to Doc Rivers for making such a terrible personnel decision. Like, I don't know why you sent. What can Morph do to help you fight Sentinels and Jean Grey sit in the Mansion?
It's not Morph's fault. Don't put it on Morph.
Right. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at AnthonyCanton_3. Follow the show on all platforms at MC University Pod. You know the Patreon. Subscribe on YouTube. All those wonderful things. And appreciate everybody for listening, watching, and supporting. So for David and Jake, this is Anthony Canton III, and this has been Marvel Cinematic University, and we will talk to you next time.